الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Today, inshallah, this is a new chapter in Kitab al-Tawheed, the book of Tawheed. And today's chapter, the author puts it under the title, What has come of proofs regarding sacrificing for other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he brings the proofs from two verses from Quran, and then he brings from the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The saying of Allah, say, my prayers, my sacrifice, my life and death, all belong to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate with Him, meaning in worship. No associate with Him in worship. Because those are worships. Salat is a worship. And sacrifice is also a worship, because here it's attached with Salat and it's mentioned with Salat. And the other verse, which is Surah Al-Kawthar, one of the last surahs in Quran, فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ, pray to your Lord alone and sacrifice for your Lord alone. So prayers and sacrifice are mentioned here and there together, to show that sacrificing an animal is a worship. It's not a worship when you want to eat it, you see, but what those idol worshippers used to do is to bring the sacrifice, to bring the animal and sacrifice it to please the earthly god, the idol, okay, to please him, so that if he gets pleased with them, he'll be in their service and he will carry their needs to God. That's what they used to believe, okay. So you have someone who can do you this favor, be between you and God, you see, recommend you to God, okay. That's what the Christians say about Jesus, that he recommends you to the one in the sky, okay. And this is not only the religion of the idol worshippers, it is the religion of all common religions nowadays, including thousands and millions who call themselves Muslims. They have this religion now, you see, saint worshipping, grave worshipping. And this is unfortunate. And this is according to what the Prophet ﷺ has said in a true hadith, that the day of judgment would not come until groups amongst my nation will go back to idol worship. You see. So this is something which is occurring right now. You see. And it was, and sometimes it was much worse. Like 200, 300 years ago, it was much worse. When the author of this book, Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad bin Abdul came, almost all the Arab Peninsula, they had idol worshipping. You would see graves being worshipped besides Allah, you see. Even in areas in Mecca and Medina, they had grave worshipping, okay. But alhamdulillah, after the da'wah of Tawheed got strong and it spread, things got much better. And now we are in a much better situation in this respect. Yeah. So sacrificing, if they sacrifice something to please the engraved or to please the idol that they have made by their own hands to represent either an angel, because they think angels were daughters of God, or to represent a pious man, a saint, like Allat, one of their biggest idols. Abdullah ibn Abbas says, Allat رجل كان يلت السويق للحجاج. He was a man who had who had this job. He was fixing some kind of food, سويق, for the pilgrims. Okay, so they called him Allat, and because he was doing this favor to the people, they thought he's a saint when he died. You know, people get emotional when someone dies, and if he was doing a lot of good things, they immediately make him a god besides Allah. Okay, so they started worshipping him after he died, and they made the the idol representing him.
I have a quick question. I'm trying to get this straight in my mind.
Yes, go ahead, bro.
All right. The sacrifice that they're offering to the dead person is kind of like a bribe.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
They are trying to get them to do like when we were kids and we know we did something wrong, we'd run to mom first so that mom could talk to dad so the punishment wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah. Except what you are doing is not worship, because you are asking a live person to do something which he can. But those people go to dead people who cannot ward off evil from themselves rather than help you in any way. Okay? So this is the point. If I come to Brother Bilal because he knows the minister of such and such information or whatever, and I tell him, I need a favor from you, come with me to the minister and talk to him, as long as I am not using him in an unjust way, you see, to try to do something for me which I don't deserve. As long as I want him to intercede for me in a good way, this is beautiful. This is not worship in any way, okay? I'm not worshiping him by this, okay? But when you go to a dead man who cannot even hear you, let alone benefit you or ward of harm from you or anything, and then you want to please him so that he becomes between you and Allah, and he carries your need to Allah, this is very bad, because here your vision of Allah is evil, you see. Does Allah really need someone to tell him to be merciful? Astaghfirullah. Allah is all merciful. Okay, that's our belief. That's what we say. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim all the time. Okay, and then Allah taught us to say in every rak'ah, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. It is only you whom we worship, and it is only you whom we seek support from. Even if you don't understand the meaning of worship, at least you understand the meaning of this. You see? So you have no excuse to go and ask the dead man or to ask a tree. In the Arab Peninsula, the woman who got who wouldn't be able to get pregnant, they would go to the palm tree and they would rub their stomach with the tree, and they would say, we want a child by the end of the year. You see, they want the palm tree to provide them a child. Okay? So that shows you how deviant those people were, due to their ignorance. But ignorance is not an excuse in things like this, which is as clear as the sun, you see. Ignorance is not always an excuse, you see. Yeah. So sacrificing for other than Allah is a worship if it's done in that way that we explained. And that's why in Islam, when you sacrifice an animal, you have to say in the name of Allah. This helps you understand in the same time that you are doing this, that sacrificing cannot be for someone else. It has to be for Allah only. Even the animal that you kill for eating, you say in the name of Allah. Okay. So these are the two verses, and then the author brings the hadith about Ali radiallahu anhu, who said, Ali was the cousin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the husband of his wife Fatima radiallahu anha, and the fourth Khalif in Islam, and the fourth best companion in Islam. So in Islam, we say Abu Bakr, then Umar, then Uthman, then Ali. And this sequence was being said in the time of the Prophet ﷺ himself. Abdullah ibn Umar says, in the time where the Prophet ﷺ was alive, we used to say, the best of us, the best amongst us after the Prophet is Abu Bakr, and then Umar, and then Uthman. So Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah, the son of Ali from other wife, not Fatima, al-Hanafiyyah. Muhammad is the son of Ali. He used to be called Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah because Ali, after Fatima died, he married al-Hanafiyyah. Muhammad was knowing this sequence. So he came to his father and he said, who is the best companion of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam? He said Abu Bakr. He told him, then who? He said Umar. Ali was saying. Muhammad knew that the companions used to consider Uthman to be the third and to give him priority above his father. So he didn't ask his father who is the next after Umar. He said, how about you, my father? He wanted him to say something else. Yani it's like, he wanted him to be the third, okay, not the fourth. Yani this is a relation between a father and a son. Yani he likes his father to be better. Yani. Okay, so Ali radiallahu anhu said, I am only a man amongst the Muslims. Yani. I'm only, he was very humble. Yani. He didn't say, no, I am the fourth or something like this. No, he said, I am only a man like all other Muslims or something like this. So Ali radiallahu anhu said, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam told me 4 words. He ordered me with 4 words, or he told me 4 words. The curse of Allah be upon those who sacrifice for other than Allah. The curse of Allah be upon someone who curses his parents. And the curse of Allah be upon someone who initiates or who shelters a criminal or an innovator. And the curse of Allah be upon those who change the limits on the land. The limits on the land. We will explain it, inshallah.
The second one was to curse the father?
Father. Curse of Allah be upon someone who curses his parents. Did we explain this hadith last time?
Yes, we did.
We did, huh?
Yes.
Okay. So I think we should go to the next chapter, but if there are any questions regarding this, we will. Okay, yeah, we explained this and the hadith after it about killing the fly or slaughtering the fly, and I remember now.
Yeah, the sacrifice in the mosquito.
We hit the mosquito here. Okay. So the next chapter, the author says, nothing can be sacrificed even for Allah in a place in which there are animals being sacrificed for other than Allah. Okay? Yani it is haram. It is not shirk to sacrifice an animal for the sake of Allah in a place in which people, ignorance, bring animals and sacrifice them for other than Allah. Okay? You don't go and do something which outwardly looks like them. You are resembling those people. And resembling the mushrik and resembling the non-Muslim, resembling the kafir is a great sin in Islam. You see. Even if you don't intend to resemble him. If you intend to resemble him, it becomes even worse. It becomes a bigger sin. Okay. And sometimes it could become kufr and shirk. Yani you will go out of Islam. You see. If, for example, a Muslim wears a cross in a way that he is giving holiness to it, just like the Christian is doing, then he's like them. He's out of Islam. You see? He's out of Islam completely. So this is, resembling is very bad. Resembling the non-Muslims in things which are special of them is a great sin in Islam. And the least is that it is haram. And it could reach great shirk, which will take someone out of Islam sometimes. But this doesn't include what has become common. Clothes, whatever, these have become common. They are not special of the mushriks now, you see. So no one can say, if you wear pants, you are resembling the kafirs. If you wear those shirts, you are resembling kafirs. Because these are meaningless to kafirs now. They don't attach any special meaning to it. And it has become universal, global, you see.
Yes.
So you can wear them, no problem.
There are some football t-shirts with the cross because they have the...
If it's a clear cross, because sometimes it's a plus or something like that, never mind it. But if you're sure it's a clear cross, don't wear it, okay? Yeah. But some people exaggerate here. Once they were making a big deal out of everything. Anything, any sign which doesn't even resemble a cross in any way, they say, no, this is a cross. They were tearing parts from cars, they were doing a lot of things, And this is not right, this is not the way. The cross is known. Nowadays, the cross, if you see it, you know it, okay? So,
the NFL team, you think New Orleans Saints, because they have a little four, which resembles a cross, but it's not a cross.
yeah.
Not like the Portugal team, football team,
No.
Swedish team, like football, soccer team.
Portugal, that may be a cross.
Yeah, it's a
Because
cross.
that's a very Catholic country.
Yeah. And also when people go to have dinner on New Year's, what's that supposed to...
You don't deliberately go to celebrate with them. But if you come to a restaurant and you find yourself in presence of some Christians who are celebrating, you have nothing to do with them. You didn't come for them, okay? You go to a restaurant, you want to have dinner, and then there is a family there or a group there, they are doing their own thing. You can still eat and finish your meal and leave.
If you're talking New Year celebration in the U.S., that has nothing to do with religion. They're just celebrating the start of a new year.
No, صحيح. Okay, so this is here sacrificing for Allah in a place in which people are sacrificing for their gods, whoever their gods might be, whether they're engraved or anything else. So this is not allowed. This is haram. This is not great shirk, which will take you out of Islam, because you are sacrificing for Allah and you are worshipping Allah, but you are doing the wrong worship. You see, you are doing it in a wrong place and you are resembling the mushriks, so you are doing something haram. And the author brought the verse here, لا تقم فيه أبدا. This is a beautiful understanding. This verse, لا تقم فيه أبدا, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his companions to pray in a masjid that the hypocrites built just to downgrade what the poor Muslims have built for the prayer. The poor Muslims, they don't have that much money, so they built something which suited what they had. Those hypocrites who disbelieve in Allah in their hearts, actually, although they say that they believe, they went and put more money and built a bigger masjid for show off, and they told the messenger, come to us here, pray here, don't pray with those people. You see? So Allah said to the Prophet ﷺ, this place that they have built is a place of dhirar, meaning place of causing harm to Muslims. Okay? Masjid al-dhirar. Dhirar from harm, So it has been made to harm the Muslims, actually, you see, and to belittle them and to degrade them, you see. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لا تقم فيه أبدا. Don't pray in it at all. You know, let them destroy their, you know, what they made, because they didn't make it for the sake of Allah, you see. So now, since you are not allowed to pray in a place like that, in which they have built it for other than Allah, then also you cannot sacrifice in a place in which others are sacrificing for other than Allah. You see? Again, he is using the same logic that he used in the chapter before, in which Allah says, فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. Pray for your Lord alone, sacrifice for your Lord alone. So he is using the same logic here. He is making an analogy between sacrifice and prayer again here, you see. And just like you should not pray in some place where you know that was not built for the sake of Allah, also don't sacrifice in a place in which people sacrifice for other than Allah. So this is the proof he brought here regarding this action. And here we have an important thing in Islam. We have a rule which is called blocking the way to evil. سد الذرائع. Blocking the way to evil. For example, the Prophet ﷺ said, the eye fornicates, and its fornication is looking. You see, it's not actually fornication, but because it leads to fornication, it is the beginning, you see, then it was named as fornication. Okay, that's why looking in such a way is haram, because if you insist and keep looking, this will lead you to fornication, actual fornication. So what leads to a haram is haram by itself. In Islam, whatever leads to something unlawful, it becomes unlawful in itself. You see? Even though this thing might be something good, or something at least okay, but if you want to do it to achieve something haram, something unlawful, like the example we gave earlier, the shafa'ah, to intercede for someone. This is good, okay? This is good if you do it in the right way, it's good. But if you go and do it to achieve illegal things, you see, or to cause injustice for others, then it becomes haram, you see. So this is qaida, or the rule of sadd al-dhara'i, blocking the way to evil. Anything which leads to haram is haram. And then the author brings a narration about Thabit ibn al-Dhahhak radiyallahu anhu, said, a man has given an oath to Allah that he will sacrifice a camel in a place called Buwana. The Prophet ﷺ, he came to the Prophet ﷺ to ask him whether it's okay to do so or not. I am going to fulfill my oath of sacrificing a camel in the place called Buwana. The Messenger ﷺ asked him, he said, is there an idol there which is worshipped? He asked him. The man said, no. He said, is there a celebration date, Eid, a celebration date that they do there? They come every year or whatever, or do that. They said no. The Messenger ﷺ said, then go ahead and fulfill your oath. Fulfill your oath. Because in Islam, if you give an oath, then you have to fulfill it. You have to fulfill it. Yani, if you say, oh Allah, if you heal me from such and such disease, I will sacrifice a cow or an animal and give it to the poor. Okay? Then if you are healed, you should give it. It's a must. It's an obligation. Because you have made an oath. And this kind of oath we will discuss later, yani, whether it's legal or it's desirable or undesirable, we'll discuss it. Because there is a chapter or 2 chapters about oath also. So here, the Prophet ﷺ made sure that this place is clean. There is no acts of shirk in it. And when he was sure, he told the man, go ahead and do or fulfill your oath. تفضل عبد الله حياك الله. ما أدري والله برا. The next chapter is regarding the oaths. And the oath is a worship also, just like sacrifice. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised the believers by saying, يُوفُونَ بِالنَّذْرِ. They fulfill, meaning the believers, one of their characters is that they fulfill their oath whenever they make an oath. And anything which is praised in Quran, then it becomes a worship. Yani this action is praised. Therefore, it is an action. Also, it is attached to the faithful. And anything which is attached to the faith, then it's a branch of faith. And it is either an obligation or something desirable. You see? Nothing is praised without being either an obligation or desirable. Nothing is attached to the faith itself or to the faithful except something which is an obligation or desirable. Okay? That's why in Quran or in Hadith, when Allah says those who do such and such are unfaithful, that means what? It means that this action, it's obligatory not to do it. You see? Because Allah has said you will not be faithful if you do it. You see? It doesn't mean you will be not a Muslim if you do it. No, not necessarily. It depends on the action. You see? It depends on the action. Yani, this is unfortunately yani, a lot of youth nowadays, when they declare someone non-faithful because of their misunderstanding of such verses. You see, because not always when Allah says he is non-faithful who does such and such becomes out of Islam. No, because sometimes it means that this is a sin only. Okay, so we have to be very careful. Yani, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, لا يزني الزاني حين يزني وهو مؤمن ولا يشرب الخمر وهو يشربها وهو مؤمن. He يعني no one would commit fornication while he is faithful. This doesn't mean that if he commits fornication he becomes a kafir. You see? Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, one of the great Imams of Ahl Sunnah,